All right, with the 2017 crf450, it was here before. It had the V-Touch before, but he was telling me that he let his friend ride while he was at work. And then when he got back home from work to go to ride his bike, he said the bike wouldn't start. It took over 20 kicks, and all it did was backfire. So now we got to see what's going on with it. But like you said, all it's doing is backfiring. Yeah, it's not doing nothing. Yeah, it ain't doing nothing at all. So first thing I'm gonna check is the spark. It's either a spark issue or a gas issue, fuel issue. So that's the first thing I'm gonna check. I'm gonna take the spark plug out and start with the spark first, and we're gonna go from there. All right, so I got the gas tank and the seat off. And as we can see, the bike still have perfect spark. The spark is still perfect. So the next thing I'm gonna check is the valve clearances, just to make sure. And then on top of that, one thing I noticed is that he put a different kind of hose that connect to the fuel pump, because it's not the original hose that go to the fuel pump. So, but the bike is getting fuel through the fuel pump. So the next thing I'm gonna check is the valve clearances. Then we're gonna go from there. All right, man, so I got the cam cover off. And one thing I did notice, like his intake valves is tight, but you could barely see up in there. You know what I'm saying? But his intake valves is too tight. But his exhaust valves is perfect. Go through perfectly on both sides. So his intake valves definitely need to be adjusted. But like I said, the exhaust valves on both sides go through nice and smooth. On both ends. Yeah, it's real tight up in there. But on both ends, both sides. But his intake valves need to be adjusted. Real tight up in there, you can barely see it. Yes. So that's what we're gonna do, and then we're gonna go from there. All right, so I got the cam out. So next step, what I'm gonna do is, you know, most likely go down a shim size. Go down the shim size on the intake valves, so it can give us more clearance. And then we're gonna go from there. All right, so now I got all the valves adjusted perfect. The gauge slide through perfect through all the clearances. You know, it's real tight up in there. I wish I could show y'all, but it's too tight. You know, as you can see. But next thing I'm gonna do is start putting it back together. Put the cam cover back on. Then we're gonna go from there and see what happens. All right, y'all, so I did the valve adjustment and the bike is still not starting. So therefore, we have bigger issues. So what I'm gonna have to do is take the top end off. So therefore, I know we have a problem with the top end, something in the top end. So that's gonna be the next step. So I'm gonna start tearing it down, and we're gonna go from there. All right, so I did a quick tear down, real quick. Got the cams and everything back out. So the next thing I'm gonna do is just pull the cylinder and the head off, so we can see what's going on. Then we're gonna go from there. All right, y'all, so I got the top end off, the cylinder and the cylinder head, and his piston, his piston is still good, but that ring is definitely You see how thin that ring look? It'd be better for him to go ahead and get him another piston. Put a new piston in it. And then one thing I seen with his cylinder head, the valve head, is that he have like a massive, a huge dent, you know, on his valve head. And as you can see, it have like a little crack right there on the surface of the head. So he might need to get him a good used valve head or a new one. But his cylinder actually, oh yeah, it have a chip right there too. So he might need to get him a new cylinder, a good used cylinder too. Then on top of that, another thing that I did notice too is that his head gasket is horrible. So he had a bad head gasket too. Also, on top of that, as you can see on the other side, he don't even have no surface on this side, no coating. So the conclusion is he gonna need pretty much a top end rebuild, a complete top end rebuild, and a new valve head, a new cylinder, and a new piston. Then we can go from there.